What is going on, everybody? Today I'm going to be teaching you how to screen print with vinyl. For this project, I used a Cricut Explorer 3. If you're using a Cricut, the first thing you want to do is upload your logo onto the Cricut design space. I always go with a PNG file with a transparent background. After you get your logo measured to how big you want it, it's time to make your decal. I go with Cricut Smart Materials, so you won't be needing a mat for this. Okay, here comes the most important step of the process. Make sure you put mirror on, because if you don't, your design's gonna be backwards and it's gonna ruin your entire project. All right, once you click mirror on, I would center your logo. It just makes it easier when it comes time to screen printing. And once again, I use Smart Permanent Vinyl. So go ahead and click that option. And the pressure that you want to use for this, you can go ahead and keep that at default. After you got to this point, you're going to see a light flashing on your Cricut. So go ahead and press that. And then the Cricut is going to start cutting out your vinyl. Make sure the back area of your Cricut is free of anything. Wires, objects. Your vinyl is going to go in and out of this space. So you don't want to congest it with anything because it might mess up your design. Once you get your decal cut out, it's time to weed. This tool comes really in handy. It's like a pick. I use the Cricut basic tool set. You don't have to use this, but I highly recommend it. Now, this step of the process is called weeding, and this can be very therapeutic for some people, or it can be very annoying. It sounds weird, but I kind of find it both. Once you get your logo weeded out, and it's looking pretty good at this point, it's time to apply the transfer tape. Just go ahead and measure out as much as you need, cut it to size, and then go ahead and place it on top of your decal. Now remember, your decal is mirrored. You're putting the transfer tape on top of the decal. This is all going to make sense very soon. Here's another tool that comes with the Cricut tool set. It's pretty much a roller, and it gets out all the bubbles when you're applying the transfer tape. I highly recommend investing in these tools. You don't have to, but it will make the job a whole lot easier. Once you think your transfer tape is really sticking to your decal, it's time to peel it off. I like to do this from the backside because it makes it a little easier to get the vinyl onto the transfer tape. Now, as I'm peeling, I'm making sure no vinyl is sticking to that white part. And if it's sticking to the transfer tape, that's exactly what you want. You can see that this vinyl is very sticky, and that's good because we're going to apply it to the screen next. Make sure you put the decal on the back of your screen. Do not put it in the front. You have to put it on the back. Be gentle about this process. You have come very far at this point. You don't want to mess up your decal. After you think that your vinyl is on the back of the screen, it's time to peel away that transfer tape. Make sure you do this or the ink will not go through your stencil. And that's all essentially that we're doing here. We're making a stencil, we're putting it on a screen to make sure the ink flows through the design and onto a t-shirt. Just take your time with this. Like I've said, you've gotten this far and we're almost done making the screen. And there you have it. You've made your screen with vinyl. We are pretty much halfway done with the project at this point. Now comes the fun part. It's time to make some t-shirts. Now I use a screen printing press. I will put the link in the description below for this. You don't need this. All you really need is a piece of cardboard in between your shirt, but the screen printing press is going to help. If you haven't watched my previous video, how to screen print the easy way, I highly recommend it if you're gonna go with that technique. But if you're using the screen printing press, continue to watch this. This is the proper way to do it, and this is the best way to do it. If you're gonna invest in a Cricut and you want to screen print, I highly recommend you spend the extra money to get the screen printing press because it is worth it, especially if you're gonna continue to do this long term. I got all my materials 3 years ago, and I have yet to buy a t-shirt ever since I did so. It's great, I love it. I'm always rocking my merchandise. Once you start doing this, I promise you, you will stop buying t-shirts from stores. Before you throw your screen on your press, let's go ahead and outline your decal with painter's tape. I make sure the entire screen is covered because I don't want any ink going through the screen and hitting other parts of the shirt that I don't want. Before you put your t-shirt on the board, make sure you spray the board with some spray tack. Now, what is spray tack? Spray tack is an adhesive that's going to keep your shirt on the board. Especially when you lift up your screen, you're going to want your t-shirt to stay on the board and not lift up, because if it lifts up, your whole design might get messed up. So definitely pick up some spray tack. You can pick this up at Michael's or any craft store. After you get your t-shirt lined up, throw some ink on top of the screen, and it's time to press your first t-shirt. I use this t-shirt measuring guide. This is super helpful. I'm super happy that I have it, and I will put the link in the description below for this tool. I highly recommend you get this as well. You will see that I put the ink on top of the screen and then I press it away from me. Then I lift up the screen. This is called flooding the screen, putting more ink on it, and then I press it again. It's a double press. This is gonna make sure all the ink is gonna go through your design. When you're pressing your ink onto the t-shirt, make sure you're only going one way, either forward or backwards. It might look like I'm going back and forth, but I'm not. You can see that I'm lifting the screen when I'm pulling the ink towards me, and then I press forward. This is called flooding the screen. It's allowing more ink to go through my logo, and then I give it a good press. I recommend only pressing away from you. It's gonna give you good leverage, and if you go back and forth, that's not good because you're gonna make the microfibers go back and forth, and it's gonna mess up, and you're gonna cause bleeding, and it's not gonna look like a good press. Trust me, I know, I've made this mistake plenty of times when I first started, so learn from me and don't do that at all. These t-shirts look beautiful. I love the way my logo looks. Once you get the ink onto your t-shirt and you're satisfied with the way it looks, this is gonna help dry the ink quicker. It's time to use a heat gun, and it's gonna be a lot easier to peel your shirt off. This is a very scary part of the process because at this point you've done everything right. So take your time with this and just pull it away nice and slow and go ahead and hang it up. And there you go. Congratulations. You have pressed your first t-shirt. This t-shirt looks amazing. I am so stoked on how my logo looks on this t-shirt. This is probably the best press I've ever done. I recommend you have at least 5 t-shirts lined up for this. You don't have to, but you've already put enough time and effort into this project. Now it's time to reap the rewards. Now you might ask yourself, when the heck do I stop? Either stop at your stopping point, which is 5 t-shirts, 3 t-shirts, or you can stop when you notice that your screen is starting to bleed. And that's what happened to me during this project. I was planning on pressing at least 5 shirts. Unfortunately, I only got 3. On the 4th one, you're gonna notice that I have some bleeding. You can tell on the back side of the screen, you're gonna see the ink coming through. And if you see here, it might be tough to see, but on my logo, it's looking a little bold, and this is called bleeding. This is the time to stop screen printing. After you got all your t-shirts pressed, let them dry for 24 hours. After they're dry, it's time to heat press them. Now I use a Cricut heat press. Other companies make this, but this is the one that I went with. Warm up your heat press to 325 degrees, and you're gonna press it for 30 seconds. Make sure you put your parchment paper in between your heat press and your t-shirt. You don't wanna burn your t-shirt. And there you go. Let that steam rise. This is a great feeling when you get to this point of the project. Now I like to do an additional press, and I'll just do another 30-second press, 325 degrees, just to make sure that ink is gonna stick on that t-shirt. It doesn't hurt to do a second press. You don't have to do this, but I always do. And there you go. You are done, and these t-shirts look amazing. Now some people might say, you only get 3 t-shirts from this project? Heck yeah, I'll take it. There have been times that I've spent an hour on a decal. I got it all set up on my screen, and I totally messed up the first press. So 3 beautiful t-shirts, I'll take it. Now can you reuse this screen? Yes, you can. I take it outside and I rinse it off with cold water, and your decal should not peel. And then it should be good for another press and another project. Here is the exact screen that I used for this project, and it still looks pretty good. Thanks for watching, guys. Hopefully this tutorial helped. If you have any questions, feel free to write them in the comments below, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace out.